Today, I'm going to share with you 4 major reasons why your Canadian visa application keeps getting rejected or denied, the mistakes that you definitely should avoid, and the solutions to correct these mistakes. If this is something you might be interested in, then definitely do keep watching. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nikki, and on this channel I talk about everything you need to know about Canada as a Canadian resident. Applying for a Canadian visa, either for study, work, or for tourism, can be super stressful just because it involves a lot of time, money, paperwork, caution, and organization. If you've ever wondered why, after spending all this time and money and waiting for over 3 months to get a response and your response was denied or your visa application was rejected, then there are 4 major things that you are possibly doing wrong, and these are the mistakes that you need to avoid should you apply a second time or a third time. The first reason or the first mistake that you're making in your application is misrepresentation or false declaration. Now, this is especially concerning financial statements, aka bank statements, especially concerning those of you who want to come into Canada to study as an international student or for work, or even as a permanent resident. Misrepresentation, especially when it concerns financial statements or financial information, is the fastest way to get your application denied. In simple terms, misrepresentation is when the information that you have provided concerning your finances or your declaration of finances in your application does not match your supporting proof, which is your financial statement. The reason that the government asks for your financial statement is because they want to know if you are able to survive or take care of yourself the moment you set foot into Canada. They don't want you to come here and have to depend on them for welfare. So they want you to actually have something to hold on to, at least for a few months before you get a job. So the question that they want you to be able to provide an answer to is, can you take care of yourself when you come into Canada? When you're preparing your financial statements and when you're making your declarations in your application, you should be able to answer these questions, and the proof should also be able to answer these questions. If you can successfully answer this question, then your chances of getting your visa approved are significantly higher. They definitely don't want you to come into Canada and become stranded, so you have to be able to prove to them without any kind of reasonable doubts that you are able to fend for yourself. If you have had your visa application denied or rejected on the basis of finances, the solution to this is simple: match up and be in sync. For example, if your purpose of coming into Canada is to study and your tuition costs $15,000, this is an example, okay? So your tuition costs $15,000. The average cost of accommodation in a year is $2,000. The average cost of feeding for you is $2,000. And if you give miscellaneous expenses, for example, books or some other expenses with regard to transportation, books, and all of that, if the cost is $1,000, that means that you are declaring $20,000 in your application. When you're providing a bank statement or a financial statement, the amount on that statement, the closing balance, should never, ever, under any circumstances, be less than $20,000. It can be more than $20,000. It could be $25,000. It could be $30,000. But please let it be never less than the amounts that you have declared. Whatever amounts that you declare in your application for whatever costs should be the exact same thing that appears as a total or sum total in the bank statement. If there is any whiff of any kind of discrepancy or any kind of misrepresentation or falsehood, then it is enough grounds for dismissal and getting your study permit or your study visa denied. So do your research and find out how much is the average cost of rent, feeding, transportation, and other miscellaneous expenses in the province that you plan on entering into, and then use that as a guide to be able to declare what you are bringing, and the finances that you're going to show them will be enough for you to come into Canada and settle in for a few months just before you get a job. You also have to be careful when you're doing this research and making assumptions, because the government knows what the standard of living is in every province. So when you're making your reasonable guesses, try not to go overboard. Try to stay within what is the average. So in summary, you have to be very careful when you're declaring finances. Whatever amount you declare in your application should be the exact same thing that appears in the bank statement, and never less. The second mistake you're making, which is also the second reason why your visa application gets denied or rejected, is providing false information or lying or forging documentation. If there is anything the Canadian government hates, it's lying. So whatever it is you're doing that concerns a formal application to the Canadian government, don't ever lie, and don't ever deliberately or unintentionally provide any kind of false information, because that is enough grounds for dismissal of your application or any other kind of drastic consequences. Forging is a criminal offense that can put you into trouble. So whatever it is you're doing, you have to always double check, cross your T's and dot your I's, and make sure that every information has a supporting proof or supporting documentation to back up your application. There are immigration agents who scrutinize your application along with your supporting documents. All they are looking for is information that matches. Everything has to match. If you're telling them that you have a certain degree or a certain certificate or a certain something in your application that is going to support you and guarantee your chances of getting in, then your proof or your supporting documentation has to show and convince the officials that this is true. Providing false information, either deliberately or unintentionally, questions your integrity and dismisses the credibility of your application. What you need to do to avoid this mistake is to simply stay honest and truthful in your application. Answer every question on the application forms as honestly and truthfully as possible. For example, if you say in your application that your reason for coming into Canada is to study engineering, you have to honestly prove to the government that you have some background in engineering from your home country. In essence, be careful, double check every information just to be sure that every information that you provide is true and correct in its entirety. The third reason why your visa keeps getting rejected, or the mistake that you're making, is that you cannot prove to the officials that you have enough ties to go back to your country. This mainly applies to international students that want to come into Canada on a temporary study visa, or tourists that want to visit Canada temporarily. Many students who plan to enter into Canada have the desire to stay back. But the thing is that you shouldn't make it obvious that you want to stay back in their country, because it makes you seem as if you are desperate. And they can smell desperation from thousands of miles and continents away. So the solution to this is that you must be able to provide documentary evidence or social ties that would convince them that you are willing to go back to your country after the duration of your stay. You can provide evidence of employment or belonging in any social activity or group that makes it imperative that you are willing to go back to your country. You have to be honest and you have to be careful when you're providing such documentation or making such claims in your application. Don't falsify or forge any kind of evidence with regards to this. The fourth reason and the fourth mistake is using unauthorized or illegal representatives or agents. Unauthorized representatives are becoming the bane of your intent to come into Canada. Personally, I'm very much against using representatives or agents just because they charge exorbitant amounts and exorbitant fees for their services, and these are the same services that I can easily do myself with the help of a computer and an internet connection. Also, many of these representatives are very fraudulent. They rip you you off of your hard-earned money without any guarantee as to the success of your application. The money that you want to pay the representatives, you can easily use it to apply to come into Canada yourself, and you save yourself a whole lot of stress. You still have lots of change left to spare for other kinds of contingencies with respect to your application. I understand that some people may not have the time or the disposal to submit the application themselves because of other responsibilities or other things that they're involved with that doesn't really give them enough time or commitment or dedication, and that is why they seek out representatives. So I respect your decision. However, if you're going to use any kind of representative, you have to be very careful. Proceed with extra caution. If you can, apply yourself and save your money. And that is only if you're able to. If you must use a representative or an agent, make sure that you're able to vet them. Make sure they are tried, tested, and trusted. Make sure that they are authorized and approved by the government to provide such services, just so that you don't become a victim of fraud. Alright guys, so those are the 4 major reasons and mistakes to avoid with your Canadian visa application. I hope this video was helpful enough for you. I hope that you were able to learn from this and apply these solutions. Please like and share this video with everyone around you. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more topics about Canada. Stay tuned for my next video. Until then, stay safe. Bye.